Have you ever caught yourself replaying a conversation that never happened? Maybe you're lying in bed, imagining yourself becoming famous, winning an argument, meeting your dream partner, or preparing for a disaster that hasn't even occurred. Hours pass, your body is in the present, but your mind is somewhere else entirely. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. In fact, millions of people spend a surprising amount of time creating detailed imaginary scenarios inside their heads. Some imagine future successes. Others replay embarrassing moments. Some create entire fictional worlds where they feel happier, stronger, or more appreciated than they do in real life. But here's the question: why do we do it? And why do some people seem almost addicted to imagining situations that aren't real? Today, we're diving deep into the psychology behind fake scenarios, daydreaming, fantasy addiction, and what it reveals about the human mind. Because once you understand why your brain keeps escaping into imaginary worlds, you'll never look at your thoughts the same way again. The hidden world inside your head. The average person spends nearly half of their waking hours thinking about something other than what's happening right now. That's right. Even when you're working, studying, eating, or talking to someone, your mind often wanders elsewhere. Psychologists call this mental time travel. Your brain constantly jumps between the past, present, and future. This ability is actually one of the things that makes humans unique. Without imagination, we couldn't plan for the future, solve problems, or create inventions. But sometimes this powerful ability becomes excessive. Instead of helping us navigate reality, it becomes a place to escape reality. And that's where fake scenarios begin. Imagine someone who spends hours fantasizing about becoming rich, or someone who repeatedly imagines confrontations where they finally say the perfect thing, or someone who constantly creates romantic situations with people they barely know. These imaginary experiences can feel incredibly real. Your heart rate changes, your emotions react, your brain responds almost as if the event is actually happening. In many ways, your imagination becomes its own reality. Why fake scenarios feel so good. To understand why people get hooked on imaginary situations, we need to talk about dopamine. Dopamine is often called the brain's reward chemical. Whenever you anticipate something pleasurable, dopamine levels increase. Here's the fascinating part. Your brain doesn't always distinguish perfectly between real rewards and vividly imagined rewards. When you imagine receiving praise, achieving success, or getting attention, your brain can generate some of the same emotional responses as if those things were actually occurring. That's why fantasies can feel addictive. They offer instant emotional gratification. Real life requires effort, patience, and uncertainty. Fantasy requires none of those things. In your imagination, you can become the hero immediately. You can win every argument. You can impress everyone. You can create the perfect ending. Reality has limits, your imagination doesn't. And that's exactly why many people keep returning to it. The escape from emotional pain. One of the most fascinating discoveries in psychology is that excessive fantasizing often serves a much deeper purpose than simple entertainment. For many people, it becomes a form of emotional escape, a way to cope with difficult feelings that seem overwhelming in everyday life. Think about it for a moment. When life becomes stressful, disappointing, lonely, or emotionally exhausting, the mind naturally searches for comfort. Some people scroll endlessly through social media. Others immerse themselves in video games, movies, or food. But many people escape into their imagination. Fantasy offers something reality often cannot: instant emotional relief. In an imagined world, you can become whoever you want to be. You can receive the appreciation you're not getting in real life. You can feel powerful when you feel helpless. You can experience love, success, admiration, or acceptance without facing the uncertainty and challenges that come with reality. For someone who feels ignored, a fantasy of being admired can feel comforting. For someone who feels lonely, imagining a perfect relationship can temporarily fill an emotional void. For someone who feels powerless, imagining success or recognition can provide a sense of control. What's important to understand is that these fantasies are rarely random. They often reveal hidden emotional needs and desires. The scenarios we return to again and again usually point towards something we feel is missing in our lives. In many ways, our imagination acts like a mirror. It reflects our deepest hopes, insecurities, and unmet needs. That's why recurring fantasies can tell us so much about ourselves. The stories we repeatedly create in our minds often reveal the things we crave most, whether it's connection, respect, confidence, achievement, or love. Sometimes the imaginary world we build isn't just an escape from reality. It's a clue to what our hearts are searching for in the real one. The main character effect. Have you ever noticed that in most of your imaginary scenarios, you're always at the center of the story? Whether you're imagining a future success, replaying an argument, or dreaming about a perfect relationship, you are usually the main character. Psychology has an explanation for this phenomenon, often referred to as the main character effect. As humans, we naturally experience the world from our own perspective. Every memory, thought, and emotion is filtered through our personal experiences. Because of this, when the brain creates imaginary situations, it tends to place us in a central role. In these mental stories, we might be the hero who finally succeeds, the victim who deserves sympathy, the genius who's misunderstood, or the person who eventually receives the recognition they've always wanted. This doesn't mean someone is selfish or narcissistic. It's simply how the human mind organizes information. We understand the world through our own experiences, so naturally, our imagination revolves around us. However, modern social media has intensified this tendency. Every day, people are exposed to images of success, luxury, fame, beauty, and popularity. Platforms constantly encourage users to picture a better version of themselves and imagine a future filled with admiration and achievement. The problem is that imagination can sometimes become more rewarding than action. Many people spend hours fantasizing about success, wealth, or recognition, without taking meaningful steps toward those goals. Over time, these mental scenarios create a false sense of progress. Thinking about achieving something can feel satisfying, even when no real progress has been made. This is one of the hidden dangers of excessive fantasizing. The brain begins to confuse imagining success with working toward success. While dreaming can inspire motivation, it can also become a substitute for action. Real growth happens when imagination becomes a starting point, not a destination. The most successful people don't just imagine a better future, they take consistent action to create it. When daydreaming becomes excessive. Daydreaming is a natural part of being human. In fact, psychologists consider moderate daydreaming to be healthy and beneficial. It allows us to think creatively, explore ideas, solve problems, and mentally prepare for future situations. Many successful inventions, stories, and personal achievements began as simple thoughts in someone's imagination. In this sense, daydreaming can be a powerful tool for growth and self-reflection. However, there is a point where healthy imagination can become excessive. Psychologists use the term maladaptive daydreaming to describe a condition in which a person becomes deeply absorbed in fantasy to the extent that it interferes with daily life. Unlike ordinary daydreaming, these fantasies can be highly detailed, emotionally intense, and difficult to control. People who experience maladaptive daydreaming often create complex imaginary worlds filled with recurring characters, ongoing storylines, and elaborate scenarios. Some spend several hours each day immersed in these fantasies. They may pace back and forth while imagining scenes, listen to music to enhance the experience, or become emotionally attached to the fictional stories they create in their minds. The challenge is that these imagined worlds can become more exciting and rewarding than reality itself. Real life is often unpredictable, stressful, and filled with responsibilities. In contrast, fantasy offers complete control, excitement, and emotional satisfaction. Over time, a person may begin to prefer their inner world over the real one. Imagine having access to a personalized movie that plays inside your mind whenever you want. Compared to that, everyday tasks like studying, working, or socializing may start to feel boring and unfulfilling. This is where the danger lies. The more rewarding fantasy becomes, the more difficult reality can seem. What begins as harmless daydreaming can gradually turn into an escape from life rather than a tool for understanding it. Why intelligent people often imagine. More interestingly, research suggests that highly imaginative individuals often engage in more fantasy-based thinking. Creative people tend to have stronger internal worlds. Writers, artists, musicians, and innovators frequently spend large amounts of time imagining possibilities. This isn't necessarily a problem. In fact, many breakthroughs begin as fantasies. Every invention existed first in someone's imagination. Every story began as an imaginary scenario. The difference lies in whether imagination leads to creation or replacement. Healthy imagination inspires action. Unhealthy imagination replaces action. One expands reality, the other avoids it. That's a crucial distinction. The anxiety connection. Not all fake scenarios are positive. Many people are addicted to negative imaginary situations. They constantly imagine disasters, worst-case outcomes, arguments, embarrassments, failures. Psychologists call this catastrophizing. It's extremely common among people with anxiety. The brain mistakenly believes that if it prepares for every possible disaster, it can prevent suffering. Unfortunately, the opposite often happens. The person experiences the emotional stress of the imagined disaster repeatedly, even though nothing bad has occurred. In a strange way, the brain becomes addicted to worry. It keeps scanning for threats because it believes that's keeping you safe. But in reality, it's keeping you trapped. The future exists only in your imagination, yet your body responds as though the danger is already real.